Rosie Rewired is for women in tech already in the room, and for every girl hoping there is a seat for her. We talk honestly about work, wins, friction, and the future. No rose-colored myths, just rosy-colored truth. The music you are hearing is Seduction of Eve by Emma Langford, which carries its own story about choice, power, and consequence, something most of us recognize. Community is how we got here, and honest conversation is how we leave the door open for the next generation. Together, we can do it. Today I am joined by singer-songwriter Emma Langford, the voice behind Seduction of Eve, and one of the sharpest pens I know. We talk about breaking glass ceilings, building better systems, and why art still matters in the age of AI. Join us. So, Emma, thank you for being here with me today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really looking forward to our conversation. And so, to sort of start it off, what are you thinking about today?
Ooh, what am I thinking about today? Well, yesterday I had a meeting, the first research and development meeting for a new project I'm involved in, where I'm creating. So my partner is a novelist, and generally a writer, and he wrote a book in 2015, and he self-published it, and then he received an award in 2017 for that book called Me, Myself, and Them, and it's kind of about grief and mental illness and the impact that grief has on us. How everyone deals with things differently, but how, I suppose, in 2015, men's mental health wasn't really being talked about too much. So he wrote this book about men's mental health and how men tend to shut themselves out and shut themselves off in their support networks in a way that maybe women don't as much. And so this book is kind of about that, and it's sort of almost a psychological thriller. It's quite dark. It's beautifully written. So we received Arts Council funding to bring that book to stage. So we've got a beautiful team of people that are coming together to do that. So yesterday we had our first meeting to do research and development around it and to create this work in progress. I'm going to be making music to go along with the show, and it's kind of a new venture for me in a way. It's something I've done a little bit of before, but what I'll be doing mostly for the show is sort of soundscaping and finding moments of incidental music. I'm basically going to be like a really dark psychological thriller version of the music from like Tom and Jerry. So like finding leitmotifs and finding little musical moments in the that'll underscore moments of drama and conflict. And so I've got a lot of thoughts today about that. And
Will there be a mouth horn?
I mean, surely I can't not make that noise if I've got the opportunity to make that noise. So yeah, I'm thinking a lot about that and like the different toys I have at home that I haven't really had a chance to play with too much, in the past couple of years. With my own work, a lot of what I do is very acoustic and live. So getting a chance to sort of pre-record things and figure out sounds and just have fun with those kind of things is going to be an interesting experiment. So yeah, I'm thinking a lot about that today, I guess. And then I've got a show tonight, so a little bit about that as well.
So a little yin yang.
Yeah,
Yeah, lovely.
yeah.
So, thinking about the new project, though, that sort of leads me into the question of how does tech slash the evil AI sort of work its way into your world? And do you have thoughts on that? Because it's all anyone ever talks about.
Yeah, no, I mean, tech definitely has a big part to play in my world. I suppose when I'm writing, I'm always thinking about, okay, how can we produce this track to elevate different aspects of it and to capture different aspects of the, like, there's things in every song I've recorded and released. There's things that I could never have created myself with my body. There's things that had to go into studio and be processed a little bit and played around with to kind of bring them to where they needed to be. So I guess tech has kind of a constant handprint on how I write and why I choose to then record what I write. Because I could just continue to play live or just walk into a room and record direct to tape, I guess. But the process of going into studio and working with people who understand the tech behind making music sound the way it does on your, streaming platforms and in radio and everything, that's its own creative process. And I really love that part of making music. I love going into studio and kind of hearing how, I remember recording my first ever EP in 2016. we did a version of my song Closed Book back then. And my voice went through a kind of a filter as part of it. And I really loved how it sounded. Now, in the final album version of the track, we took that out because it felt like at the time, I couldn't reproduce that on stage. And I didn't want to be releasing something I couldn't realistically reproduce. But at the time, it was just really fun. And I think now, if I was to re-record it, I probably would put that filter on my voice again and see how I can.
You should.
It's just a lot of fun, and then see how I can find the ways of doing it live on stage, and get a bit creative with every aspect of sharing that song going forward in the future. So yeah, it's got a big. I don't think AI has any role to play in my career. I don't see it having a role to play in my career. I know that there is certain amounts of all of our jobs that are tedious, the administrative aspect of things. I guess I'd love if AI could just look after that shit. That'd be great. AI needs to stop taking the work of making art out of artists' hands and maybe look after doing the dishes and hoovering the stairs and doing my taxes. That's the role I'd like AI to play in my
And managing my schedule.
Yeah,
I would like that. So
and that's that. I'm so tinfoil hat about AI in a way. Like my mom sent me a video of this new development in medicine. There's a hospital where you walk into a scanner and they're using AI technology to scan your body and tell you what's wrong with you, an A to Z scan basically.
Wow.
And you never have to deal with a doctor. And I'm like, okay, but we're training this intelligence to replicate us. We're essentially what we're doing is we're feeding this technology us, our minds, our creativity, our faces, everything. Why would we hand that much power over to something that, it doesn't, and I don't feel like it's working hand in hand with us as such. It's a barely tethered pet. A kind of
it's
it
a
feels
wild
like
dog.
it's a wild dog. It's a feral cat. It's something that just wants to get out of its cage and sort of do more.
But that's our fault.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're making the choice to just let it run untethered.
Absolutely.
So if we could put, like, there's so much great that can come from the use of the technology, but it needs to be thoughtfully implemented. There needs to be guardrails. There needs to be checks and balances. There needs to be, like, people who aren't just developing it for the sake of developing it.
Yeah.
To say, okay, this is how we could use it for good and not evil.
Yeah, unfortunately, so much of these amazing developments, so much of this incredible progress is dictated by people who just want to make a quick buck. And they don't really care that much about the betterment of humanity.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if a day comes, we reach this utopia where we have people in charge that actually want us to be alive and healthy, that would be an incredible time. And in that moment, if we have like the geniuses who could actually like bring AI to a place where it can help us, I think that would be the perfect way that we could allow AI to live hand in hand with us. But until that point,
right,
I just don't see it. It's just taking everything out of our hands. The good stuff, the nice stuff, the basic communication, the understanding each other, all of that stuff that we're handing to ChatGPT. The ability to grow emotionally has sort of been taken out of a lot of people's hands because they're asking ChatGPT for relationship advice.
Right.
Like,
and there's like this, the whole design of it is to say, oh, you're doing great.
Exactly. Yeah, it's your hype guy.
Like, no, I don't. I want you to tell me where it's wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I want you to be devil's advocate for me. I don't want like platitudes and pretty posies.
I think I have an interesting sort of a dilemma in my head where I'm like, as an autistic person, I often need to Google the most basic things because I just don't like simple interactions. I have a friend who went to the post office for the first time very recently. She's not a tiny child. She's an adult. She just has never had reason to go to the post office and post something. And I was like, oh, I would immediately, like, if that was me, I would immediately Google, like, how do you post office? How does one post office? What's the process? And that stuff I get, but I feel like up until quite recently, Google was almost crowdsourced. And that was a lovely, healthy way. If I Googled that, I would get like a Reddit thread or someone on the internet who also had this dilemma before, where they were like, I have never gone to the post office either. I'm an adult woman. What's the correct behavior to do here? So I loved that about the internet. It's what I loved about Twitter when I was on it first was
Yeah.
Like it was kind of a hive mind, but in a positive way, not a
Right.
pluribus way, a positive way. Like
Right.
this world where you have all these like-minded people who are all having meaningful conversations, and then that gradually just got diminished down to now you've got this nonsense X thing with Grok and all this stupid billionaire-driven
Insanity.
I mean, digital violence, basically. It's just, cyber violence, I suppose. Digital's very old school.
Well, but it's modeling behavior that then people in the real world are taking and recreating.
Yeah.
And so
Because we've given so much power to this thing.
Exactly.
We truly see it as a peer somehow. Yeah. It's crazy.
All right, so like maybe violence is our segue to the next one.
Okay. Love a segue.
So you came out with a song not too long ago that was pretty different from your usual fare. Not that you have not, I mean, you always have a really powerful message behind your music, but do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this was, I remember like, I don't know how many years ago, talking about, with like my ex, about wanting to like say more about the world and things I'm angry about and societal issues. And I was like, I feel like my music is, fair enough, I intend these messages with my music, but it's not overt. And I would like to be overt. I'd like to be out
Stretch
there.
that.
Yeah, I'd really like to just, say it with my chest when I'm saying something, as opposed to then people having to come to my gig, people who already would come to my gig anyway or follow me on socials. And then we're having those conversations. Whereas if I can just release music that outright says how I'm feeling, I feel like that would be a very cathartic thing for me, but also more meaningful in who is following me and who's supporting me. Like, it's actually very easy to be liked by everyone. It's quite easy to make music that everyone loves. It's just not very good.
Right.
So I wanted to make music that was going to be true to what I wanted to say, even if that meant it was divisive. I was like, that will feel like more to me as an artist. So yeah, when Natasha O'Brien's court case took place, I remember reading the news article about it, and I saw the tweets about it, and I was sitting in my office and I was just getting increasingly angry about the tone around it, the stories I was hearing about what had happened, mostly
sort of the
about
popular opinion about it.
Well, yeah.
It was just, and it was in our face every day on, news and papers. And,
it was
so,
everywhere. It was everywhere. You couldn't get away from it. And I just remember the day I kind of learned about it first, just feeling this incandescent rage about what had happened to her, about who had done it, about the response from the judge, about the court ruling, all of it. Every bit of it just had this, just created this
it was
fireball.
just like a constant.
Yeah. So I'm usually or often with a lot of stuff that I release and record, I'm a little bit, the self-editorial voice comes in a big way, and I'm like, the chords need to be more sophisticated, the lyrics need to be smarter. But I just wrote this song in a fit of rage, and I decided I don't think I edited it. I might have edited I might have been like fuck. The lyric might have been fuck you first.
Yeah.
Because it was directed at
Him. Yeah.
And at the situation and at the people that were causing this to happen. But as the only kind of structural change I made, or the lyrical change I made, was to change it to fuck that, because I wanted it to be a collective energy thing. I wanted like everyone that was singing it to direct it at the same thing.
Right. Change the
and all of us
establishment,
all of us to be singing that together, as opposed to saying fuck you, which I'm on stage. I don't want to do that.
Right, because you're not saying it. Like,
No.
Yeah, there's an intentional statement. So,
So I sat down in my office, I recorded it, I put it up on TikTok just to get it out there and just to say something, and got a huge response. And I just from there decided, okay, this is something people need to have in their lives. I guess people needed the catharsis of it, and recording it was the next step. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a really interesting linear study of the way a woman goes from, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about Natasha, the way a woman goes from being sort of hero worshipped and praised and pitied, mostly pitied, to, okay, she's found her voice, she's now talking out, she's too much now, and we hate her. Like this line. And I don't know if those voices switched sides. I think the voices emerged and got louder. So there was this very strong bedrock of support for Natasha and for what she was doing that gradually got sort of diffused by, or sort of it was this sort of porous thing. These voices started coming through of
Right.
like, how dare she?
Yeah.
The cheek of her. He was just some poor lad.
He's just a good little boy.
Yeah. And it just, that in itself has sort of egged me on to play the song live at gigs, and it makes the song feel more meaningful for me that I released it, because I think we need songs that talk about what's happening in real time,
Right.
to reflect the sort of the stories, to reflect the mood, the tone, the vibe, everything. And so I'm quite glad I wrote it now and that I recorded it, because at the time it was just okay, here we go. Let's shout about this. And now I'm so glad I captured that moment for myself.
Right.
And I know there were so many people at the time that listened to my song and felt the same way.
Exactly.
And that is a cool kind of thing to hold on to.
And then, not to tell you what you should do with your business, but like you promoting it more, because I think what happened is we all felt that. We felt that rage, and we thought, okay, we're going to change the system. And then all these other little things came in and squashed it down. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, back to normal.
Yeah.
Like we forgot about that. Because there's always that new news cycle that comes up. So I'm really grateful to you for keeping that in the foreground.
Thank you.
Yeah. So shout louder.
Yeah. I'll try.
So there's, you know, because I fangirl you a lot, that my most favorite song is The Seduction of Eve. And I just love the concept of it too, because Eve gets a really bad rap.
Yeah.
So like just even the title has always enamored me. But there's the line that, you know, would things have changed if I had chosen not to break that glass ceiling? And so being now a woman who's in tech and seeing very few women in tech, that speaks even stronger to me. And I just didn't know what the sort of impetus of that was for you. Like, was it a personal story, or was it not a personal story?
Oh, it was a personal story.
Well,
Yeah. So it was. So the name of the song comes from, there's a Josh Ritter song called "The Temptation of Adam," and an ex of mine loved that song, and I liked it as well for a time. I think Josh Ritter is an extraordinary musician and songwriter, and I love that song. But the title made me so cranky, because I was like, the what? Okay, yeah, it's all a woman's fault. Yeah, absolutely. Let's just put it on the woman. So there was that. The messaging in the song was basically like, this guy falls in love with this woman. She's a genius. They're both geniuses, and you know, they start off not liking each other and they fall in love, and then but it's only because they're stuck in a bunker together, and he knows. He pushes and pushes and pushes his way in. He basically just imposes himself on her until she gives in this song. And at the end of it, he's like, I don't really know if this relationship would be anything outside of this bunker, to be honest. So I kind of hope they push the big red button and everything ends, because then we'll be stuck in here together and I'll never have to find out. And it's this irritating thing of like, she would have been perfectly happy without you. Like, she never needed you. You needed her.
right.
So don't do this, oh no, I was tempted by you and now I'm won over by you and all this nonsense. Like, no. So anyway, that irritated me. And as I was writing my response in The Seduction of Eve, I was going through a breakup with that other person. And I had a moment where I felt like he didn't hold, at the time, and I can't speak for him now, but at the time I felt like he didn't hold women or female musicians in the same regard he held men,
Okay.
unless they were attractive. And generally, I just felt like he felt that way about women in general. And so that line, that lyric, was basically me saying, I've seen through you. I know now that, like, you know, if I want to stay with you, I'm going to have to keep my head below the parapet and kind of follow your lead and all this stuff. And, you know, it's funny, like singing songs about old relationships, I find new ways to connect with them, because I don't feel that sadness about that relationship ending at all anymore. Like, whatever about that guy, like, you know. But so I find new ways to connect with it. But at the time, I was so sad about the idea that, like, if I could just stay quiet and be a different person, maybe this would work out, and, you know, this would be an amazing relationship. But yeah, it's just a little lyric about the number of us that sort of sacrifice our safety for the benefit of saying what we need to say.
Right. So you call it just a little lyric, and I call it a call to arms. Like, we all make choices as women that are not just based on what we would do to make ourselves better or happier or whatever. We always have to sort of gauge this. How is this going to look to the
Yeah.
men in our lives?
Yeah.
How is this going to look to, the power people in our lives, our whether it be boss or partner or whatever,
Yeah.
Like, so to me, it's much more than just a little lyric. And also, anyone who puts bulwark in a song too, that's a great line.
I remember I had a friend perform that song for me. I won like a songwriting competition years and years ago, where I was a finalist, and my friend went and performed it for me because I couldn't make it to the final. You had to be able to perform it at the end if you wanted to get through. And he was like, bulwark. How did you get bulwark into a song? That's fucking bulwark, like. And it's not like a war song. It's not a Paul Brady song,
Right. No, but well, that also comes into like a sort of sailing metaphor too. That you're being challenged down by tide and time and
Yeah.
waves and all that. So like it's another big metaphor for me. So
Good.
thanks.
A pleasure.
But it does sort of also beg the conversation. Like, what can we do to not be having to have these sacrifices anymore? Like, how can we as women, whether it's band together or call things out or, we seem to, like, we're on this precipice of all of this amazing technology or so-called amazing technology, but I don't feel like we've evolved as humans enough yet to really manage that situation. So, like, how do we sort of take it back to our villages and towns and friend circles and say, like, how can we help each other?
I mean, I can
not
only
feel
speak
this?
from what I have learned and experienced. And this is going to sound so reductive and so simplistic, but I truly feel like so much of it comes back to, like, we need men on our side. We need men to join us with this. And I know I've got a partner who's so profoundly supportive. He's such an ally. He gets angrier than I do about a lot of this. I guess I'm tired at this stage. I've lived my life with a lot of this stuff. He hears about it now. Only a few years ago, he learned that crash test dummies, only very recently, they released a female crash test dummy because it doesn't operate the same
way. And it's,
the fact but he only recently learned about that, and he was like, what? Or like learning that so many drugs were only ever tested on men.
Right.
I recently learned that in the past 5 years, ornithologists learned that female birds also sing. Up until about 5 or 6 years ago, ornithology was dominated by
men.
Yeah. Who decided at some point that female birds don't sing.
Have they never been in their garden?
I'm perplexed. And then there was a gradual build in female presence in ornithology. And all of a sudden, in the last 5 years, they've learned that female birds do sing. So a lot of this stuff that's still emerging. But anyway, I think my answer to that is,
I just want to say Toni Morrison would be wicked freaking pissed if she thought that caged bird had to be a man.
so true. So true. I wouldn't have written bird song if I thought it was all men.
Well, yeah, that too. 'Cause, like, that's such a powerful song.
Yeah. I wouldn't have written a song called Bird Song if I yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
I just think that the key thing we can do is well, not that we can do, it's not our job to do it. What we need is for men to be outside.
Yep.
That's the most important thing, is that we are working together toward it. And also, like, for men to understand that feminism is for them as well, that the patriarchy hurts them. It just as much as it hurts us.
Right.
It deprives them of so much. It deprives them of meaningful relationships, of conversations that matter. It deprives them of, like, all of this awful misogynistic patriarchal stuff deprives men of meaningful connection. And this male loneliness epidemic is part and parcel of with that. Like, it's
right.
all tied in together. So I think the most meaningful way we can bring it back to the village, bring it back to kind of connection, is seeing
finding
beyond
allies.
our own gender and sort of working together to make things work.
Right.
Like it's otherwise it's all just nonsense.
Yeah. So I like to think about it as being inclusive. And so it's not just about women's issues or women's rights. It's really about how we interact with each other.
Yeah.
And I'll say I spent many years of my life railing against the whole men are from Mars and women are from Venus thing because I thought it was bullshit. We're all just the same. But now I realize like we are kind of different.
Yeah.
And we come at things different ways. And that is a strength, not a weakness.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how, if we work together, everybody succeeds. Like it's just about rising.
But you know
together.
what, that like I feel like queerness is a really beautiful remedy to so much of what is wrong with the world. I attended an LGBTQ plus camp last year in, I think it was March, out in the Burren. And we talked about how queerness is anti-colonialism, how like to break down gender, to break down like queerness is innately open. It removes boundaries, it removes barriers. So much of this camp, we like paid up front for it, and then all of the food was sort of like take what you need. Like you went around this garden and you foraged like leaves for tea and stuff, and it was just this very open thing. And I do think that is like a battering ram to colonialism and to the patriarchy and to like, you know, it allows everyone to be who they are and the essence of their being shines out because of that openness. And I think that's a really strong way through all of this.
Yes.
If we can just keep fighting for queer people's right to be visible and to live their lives the way they want to live their lives. They need to live their lives. I think that's like one of the most powerful weapons we have. So,
I agree. That is beautiful.
it was a cool thing to realize when I was
Yes,
there.
it's like
you know, we were talking about tea. We literally just talked about like loose leaf tea, and we all went about and like someone was talking about how you know black tea is actually Irish people think it's our thing, but it's not our thing. We're constantly engaging in colonialism by consuming this. So to not engage in the right rituals with it and everything is sort of a micro-colonialism. All of this stuff. It's just there's. Yeah.
Well, as a hardcore tea drinker, I'm all about tea as a metaphor for anything.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. So, yeah.
And I like all teas. I'm not,
Yeah, I'm tea inclusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
That could be our new thing. Tea inclusivity.
Nice.
I love, but queer as just a wall coming down.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah, well, I mean, every queer community I've had the privilege of engaging with, every part of the queer community that I've had the privilege of working with, there's been, whether you're like able-bodied, autistic, whether you're trans, whether you're a woman, whether you're a gay man, whatever it is, whatever color your skin, everyone loves each other, like, or sees each other at least for who they are, and engages with them on a person-to-person basis, and not like a man talking to a woman or a woman talking to a woman. It's just we're just people talking to each other.
It just takes down all of those.
It just removes all of it, And when I think especially when men are willing to engage meaningfully in that way, it just lifts all of the expectation. You're not expected to behave any certain way. Your relationship can be whatever your relationship is. No one is in charge. No one makes X decision. No one does this job in the house. The heteronormativity of it all is crushing. But there are ways through that, and I think queer communities have tapped into it. They've found ways. Obviously, there's always going to be heteronormative kind of things that will wind up creeping in. It's impossible not to, but you can push through that. I think. Just keep chipping away.
Okay, awesome. Wow, you just completely blew me away. It was something so simple that I should have understood it, but it's about perspective, and you don't think about. So great, thank you. I think I don't have a lot of other questions per se. Do you have anything that we didn't touch on that you really want to get out there?
I don't think so. No, I think it was a really lovely kind of holistic conversation. It was great.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, bud.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
But I wonder now and then if things just might have been the same if I were happy, never to break that glass ceiling.
Thank you for joining us today. As you listen to Emma Langford, here are a few other women who have broken the glass ceiling and chosen to hold the door open behind them. This is Rosie Rewired, and together we can do it.
I'm just trying to find my peace of mind.